Now let's create the edit page, category edit page. So first we need to create the link to that page. Inside of our categories.php, in a cell with edit word, type A. Actually, what we can do is we can simply copy the remove link and rename remove to edit, and the name of the file will be categories edit, and that's everything. So we've got our link created. Let's check it in the browser, refresh, link to edit page, links correctly. We're passing ID as well through the URL, everything works fine. Okay, let's go back and open categories.edit, categories_edit. Now the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to copy the entire content of the categories page, copy, and replace the content inside of the edit page with what we've copied from categories.php. Now we will remove quite a bit of code from here, but there's majority of the code is really exactly the same. So first of all, we will remove our repeat table with the records displayed. So let's remove the whole thing together with the else statement here. So if total rows is more than 0, else there are currently no categories defined, all is going to the bin. Okay, so that's all fine. Now another thing, we need to go right to the top and first check whether the ID has been sent through the URL. So if is set ID variable, then we're going to be doing something. Let's indent all this content so that we know that there's something right at the top, and right after the MySQL free result, place the closing curly brace, and let's indent these two as well. Okay, so now we know that if ID has been set, someone has accessed this page correctly, then else, what we're going to be doing here, we're going to require once our error page. So error.php, and let's test it again. We go to our browser, categories, we go to edit, everything's fine, but if we haven't got ID or if it's blank, we get in the error page not found. So that's all fine. Now let's go up to the top and let's start amending the content, the code. One thing we need to amend is get duplicate, because now we're editing the statement. As you may remember, when we were creating this function, the first case checks only whether the record with a specific name exists. Well, that's not going to do any good to us here because we know that it exists. That's why we want to edit it. Now, so what we need to do is we need to use the case 2 here. And after the name variable, place comma, and where ID doesn't equal our ID variable. So this will exclude the name of this record from this search inside of the get duplicate function. So that's all fine. Now we've got our validation here. Obviously we need to change our statement, so it's going to be update. We can remove all this. Update categories. On the new line we're going to type set name equals single quote name variable inside of the curly braces, and on the new line where ID equals ID. So that's all fine. Everything apart from this looks good. Now let's change the confirmation message as well. Obviously the category has been updated successfully. What we can also add here is the line break href go back to the list of categories and closing a tag, and obviously we need to specify the URL, so it's p equals categories. Okay, now our select statement here as well needs to be changed. So select everything from categories where ID equals our ID, so it's only going to return one record. That's fine. And inside of the value we're going to type something like echo. And now again, is set. So if it's set post name question mark, we're going to echo this post name then with strip slashes functions. Otherwise, we're going to display the record populated from a database. So otherwise, name, semicolon, closing, PHP tag. Obviously, our label has to be changed as well, so it's instead of add, it's going to be update. And I think that's everything. For now, let's go and test it. So if we go to the browser, go to edit, Basque Country, comma, Spain. Oh, it's still displaying actually the table. Okay, but it displays the message and it did update the record, as you can see. So the only thing we have to do is if we go back to our code, and now what we're going to do here is we need to actually use the if statement. If, and now is set confirmation, bracket echo confirmation, else, opening curly brace, otherwise display this form. And this PHP tag, just close the curly bracket. Let's go back to the page. Now update, and as you can see, the form only stays there whenever the post hasn't been done and the variable hasn't been created. So everything's working fine now. Okay, so we've got our edit page, but I've just realized we didn't add edit here, so let's go back and add edit to our heading. So GT edit, save it, let's refresh the page, and we've got edit, update, and we go back to the categories. So our remove and edit pages are now finished. All we need to do now is to go to the images. So first we're going to create the link to the images page, and then we're going to start working with uploading and displaying the images inside of our gallery.